Hello everyone, welcome to the sideboard here at StarCityGames.com Columbus Open Weekend. I'm Cedric Phillips and I am joined by the 2015 StarCityGames.com Players Champion and the captain of Team Metagame Gurus, Jim Davis. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing great.
You are having a good tournament here, yes?
Pretty good so far, yep.
10-3? 11-3?
11-3. I'm X-3. I never
with a
track
round to go.
rounds. Yeah, I never.
11-3 with a round to go. I track them for the players to watch.
I guess you have to, right?
It's kind of my job.
Yeah, that's fair.
I got to make sure I get this right or it'd be embarrassing. If you win next round, you likely make top 8.
We'll see what happens, yeah.
And you were playing a deck that a lot of people on social media are saying, can we get a Jim Davis deck tag? What's his deck list? Can we get a copy of his deck list? First of all, no, you can't get his copy of his deck list while he's in the tournament. That would not be fair to Jim, but you can get one from this deck tag. Jim, you're playing blue-black control. My first question for you before we go over cards is why?
So on Friday night, me and Dan had the Esper deck that we played at the Invitational, and Dan is playing a version of that deck. And I don't know, I wasn't like totally sold on it. The idea of playing a deck that had 8 cards banned out of it and not being able to play them anymore.
Tough sell.
Yeah, it's and I was like, you know what? It's midnight. Do a lot of team stuff. Didn't test that much. I'm just gonna build a control deck. Okay. I just love me a control deck. I mean, obviously with the combo being prevalent, counterspells seem very good against it.
Yep.
Like, I don't think the Jeskai control Saheeli hybrid deck is that good. I think it's kind of just like adding a bunch of non-control cards to a control deck. Okay. And I feel like a deck like this with so many counterspells would just take it apart. So, felt good against the combo decks. Obviously, a lot of removal for the creature decks. And I think we're a little short on cards. I'd pay a good amount of money for a Clash of Wills or some sort of universal counterspell. Okay. We are playing some, specific counterspells that don't always line up perfectly. But Gearhulk's insane, Kalidas is insane, and the core idea of the deck is very good. It's a little short on cards, but it's been playing very well. So
let's go over some of these counterspells first and foremost, because you have a lot of them in your deck.
Yes.
Horribly Awry, Void, Shatter, and Disallow. Disallow being the newest of the 3. Talk to me about how those 3 have performed before we get to the big 5-mana one here in a minute.
Disallow is great.
Okay.
I may have 5-for-1 my opponent with Disallow yesterday.
I'm trying to think of how that's possible. And
so give the audience, a second, mull over it.
Okay.
Westvale Abbey. Sacrificed 5 creatures. I also had a Kalidas in play, so I got 2 zombies and stifled it, wiped their board, and we won that one.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Took it down.
I would hope so. I would hope that you won that one. How's Horribly Awry been? It's a counterspell that we haven't seen a ton of. Obviously, it's situational, but has it been okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good answer to a Scrounger. Okay. Because it exiles it, of course. Again, you run into spots where they cast the Planeswalker on 3, and you have Horribly Awry, but for the most part, it's a good 2-mana counterspell. Remove Soul or Essence Scatter would be a lot better, but you just need things to do on turn 2. Okay. And when it works very, very well.
What about on turn 5, when we're making 3 clues and countering their spell? Now, Confirmed Suspicions is not a card you can play a lot of copies of, but we've watched you a couple times on camera this weekend. When you do cast it and it resolves and everything goes right, it's pretty darn good.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had 2.
Okay.
I think that one of the issues I'm having with this deck is that when you don't draw a Glimmer of Genius, you're just a little lacking in the card draw department, where you trade off 1-for-1 a bit, and you just kind of draw a land or 2, and then you're just in trouble. Yep. So having the extra card draw as a counterspell as well is pretty interesting. It is very expensive, but it's a great card off Gearhulk.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, it's just a very, very powerful effect off of Gearhulk. When you're happy just casting Void Shatter off of it, now you're getting clues also, which is great. Okay. So it's a good long game card, and it's pretty sweet.
We'll talk about some rule spells here. You've got Murder and Ruinous Path, kind of a split between those because you have to. And then you've got Fatal Push, which is kind of a catch-all. How have those performed? Most notably Fatal Push, which is, again, the newest of the 3.
So the pushes, there's actually almost 0 ways to trigger Revolt in our deck. Okay. You can't play Evolving Wilds because the dual lands are so important. Okay. Because you need black on 2 for Grasp and blue on 3 for the Dissolve effects. Okay. So no way to trigger Revolt, but it's basically just like a shock in a sense, where kills 1-drops, kills 2-drops. There are times where it's a little dead, but it's no more dead than Disfigure or something like that would be. And those cards are just necessary for the deck to operate in the early game. So it's fine, not great, but fine. Against the aggro decks, it's very, very good though. It's just Lightning Bolt essentially. And then Murder's fine. Path is necessary. There are a lot of Planeswalkers. Sorcery Speed is pretty unfortunate, but need the answer there. And then Grasp, of course, is great.
So kind of the backbone of this deck, in a general sense, if you're playing a blue-based control deck in this format, it's Torrential Gearhulk and Glimmer of Genius.
Absolutely.
And I imagine those have performed as well as advertised. They're still very good.
Oh, for sure. The games you draw Gearhulk and Glimmer are just, you feel like you're playing a really powerful control deck. Like Sphinx's Revelation style. End Step Gear Hulk, draw 2 cards, they're going to be good. You know, you can break up combat, End Step Threat, just fantastic.
But with the removal of Copter and Reflector Mage and Emrakul, it's kind of changed how late game decks like this can play. So you can afford to play a card like Jason Raveler of Secrets now where maybe you couldn't before, and I imagine that's performed pretty well for you.
Yeah, when Emrakul is away, Gear Hulk will come to play.
Yes.
Because before, Emrakul's late game was just unbeatable, and once you take that super late game element away, the other late game effects can come into play, and Gear Hulk's one of the best ones.
Yeah,
so
we've seen Jace a couple times this weekend on camera, you and a couple other players, and it's been pretty impressive of just kind of solidifying a game where before it was kind of nonsense with Emrakul and Traverse kind of laying around the format.
Yeah, and Copters to attack it and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. We take a look at the sideboard here now. I've pulled out 4 cards I want to highlight. Kalidas is one.
Yes.
You have one of your main deck, a couple in your sideboard here this weekend to kind of go transformational is a little strong, but I imagine some players didn't see this coming.
Yeah, I mean, Kalidas, it's possible it should be more in the main deck. The card's very, very good with Mage Gun.
Okay.
So it's not just getting bounced. Doesn't die to Shock or Harness Lightning. So, like, it's pretty resilient when it wasn't really before. And it plays extremely well with the 1-mana removal spells. So we have post-board against aggro. I've beaten Marty Vehicles like 5 times in this tournament. Post-board, we have 3 Kalidas, and we have 4 push and 2 deadweights.
Oh, okay, that's really good.
So the turn 5, Kalidas, kill your creature, is just in full effect at almost all times.
Okay.
It's been very, very good.
You've got a lot of counter spells after sideboard, Ceremonious Rejection, and Dispel, just to kind of piggyback on top of the Void Shatters and Disallows. Nothing too crazy going on there.
Yep.
But the Sphinx of the Final Word is a little bit different than what I expected to see. This, I imagine, is kind of your mirror match trump.
Haven't cast it yet. No mirrors yet. But yeah, it's in there.
Okay. I'm hoping to get to see this.
I mean, bring the mirror on.
You want to be there?
I love me a control mirror.
Okay, well, you've also got land number 28 here, the Blighted Cataract.
Yep.
I'm going to let you, just go ahead.
Want me to sell Blighted Cataract?
I want you to sell Blighted Cataract to the audience.
Blighted Cataract.
Here we go.
You can't miss a land drop in a control mirror or a combo mirror.
Okay.
Against like Jeskai, Saheeli, and stuff like that, you need to have lands coming constantly so you can play your spells and then counter spells back it up.
Okay.
It's all about just getting mana advantage and never missing a land drop. So I wanted to land on the board.
Okay.
We have 1 Blighted Fen main, and it's not really a necessary effect in a control mirror. So Cataract fit the bill. It's a card draw spell. And,
definitely this.
And
yes.
But yeah, just 28 land. Don't miss your land drops. Draw some more cards.
Okay.
Good effective.
Fair enough. Jim is 10-3. I've got 2 questions before we go, and then I'll give you a little airtime of your own. 1, what do you want to play against with this deck?
I mean, the Vehicles match has been great.
Okay.
I think the combo decks as well. I mean, Jeskai Saheeli seems pretty easy. I also Todd playing it. Kind of flooded a little bit in game 3. He also played well too. So, but I think it's a good matchup. Yeah.
What do you not want to play against?
The green-white tokens decks can be a little rough if they resolve a Planeswalker. You're kind of in a spot where, like, if you can counter their stuff and line up, it's very, very easy.
Okay.
But if one slips through, you're kind of in trouble. Although Disallow makes the ultimate on Nissa and like Liliana and those other Planeswalkers not as bad.
Sure.
So Planeswalkers in general can be a little tough.
Okay. Final question, final thing, not really a question so much. I'm going to give you, like I've given everyone else here for the deck tech, 15 to 20 seconds. You have the floor.
Wait,
for
minutes or
shout outs.
seconds?
Seconds.
Okay.
Shout outs. Follow me at Twitter. Go. Make the most of this time. Do better than the previous 2.
I'm excited because Team MGG is going to be revamping a little bit.
Okay.
We have a new lineup in effect in February, new website coming, new jerseys,
Okay.
new logo.
Okay.
It's a lot of new stuff. I'm super excited. Go Twitter, Team MGG, follow us, follow me. Check out our sponsors, BCW Supplies, excellent products, Inked Gaming.
Okay.
Promo code MGG10 for 10% off your custom playmat.
Okay.
Inked Gaming is great. And of course, cardhoarder.com is your best place to find online cards for Magic Online. Cheap prices, super easy to use.
That's how it's done. That's how you promote your sponsors. Good work, Jim. Did way better than Brendan DeCandio and the first deck I did with, Overturf, he's got his own store. So he did pretty good with that.
He was hesitant to say it, though.
I know!
I watched that one live, and he was kind of like,
right, you gotta give a shout out to the store that you own in Minnesota. Jim's gotta get ready to play round number 15. I gotta get ready to cover it. So, for Jim Davis here in the sideboard, I am Cedric Phillips. Stay tuned for more action here from Columbus Open Weekend.